Hi, I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. This year, I'm going through the lessons, reading them and asking Jesus for clarity. And then I write whatever comes into my mind. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. Paragraph 1, we're at the end, actually, of the first review. So paragraph 1, God is the love in which I forgive. God does not forgive because he is never condemned. The blameless cannot blame, and those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. Yet forgiveness is a means by which I will recognize my innocence. It is a reflection of God's love on earth. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me and raise me up to him. I am innocent, perfectly blameless, and exactly as I was created. And yet I don't know myself as this. If I did, I would not be here. I've been given the key to remembrance, though. Forgiveness will bring the memory of who I am to the forefront of my mind. It is possible to live as myself, even while in this story of Myron. Through forgiveness, I'm beginning to do this. I used forgiveness this morning for just that purpose. From the moment I woke up, my ego mind was chattering away. The thoughts I thought I was thinking, those senseless ideas, were about the story of Myron. They were about past happenings and then about future possible happenings. They served no purpose other than to keep myself, my true self, from dawning on my mind. I forgave the belief that I wanted those thoughts, and I forgave the belief that I wanted to keep going over and over the story of Myron. I had to do it several times before the thoughts began to recede into the background. I placed my attention on the simple task of preparing for the day. As I kept forgiving, I became aware again of the thoughts I think with God. And what a relief that was. Second paragraph says, God is a strength in which I trust. It is not my own strength through which I forgive. It is through the strength of God in me, which I am remembering as I forgive. As I began to see, I recognized his reflection on earth. I forgave all things because I feel the stirring of his strength in me. And I began to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. At first, when I tried to stop thinking of the past and the future of Myron, it was frustrating. I would feel clearer, but then another memory would come into my mind, and suddenly I would notice. I saw that it wasn't even interesting, and I realized I'm truly bored with the whole story. Why do I keep replaying it in my mind? Oh, yeah, I want Myron to keep existing, and my mind is the only place this happens. Here is the belief that I forgive to regain my freedom. It's a belief that if I lose interest in her story, she will vanish and I will vanish with her. This is nonsense, though, and I know it. I am not Myron. I am God's son. It is through the strength of God that is in me that I forgive these thoughts. As I let them go, I begin to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. So paragraph 3, there is nothing to fear. How safe the world will look to me when I can see it. It will not look anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward me to bless me. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world that I have forgiven and that has forgiven me? When the memories and speculations of the future were banished from my mind, the ego tried another tactic. I started thinking about my daughter who's going to be having a procedure done soon. The fear that I could lose her slammed into me without warning. For a few minutes, I was like a drowning person fighting to reach the surface. But I glanced at the card I keep on my desk, which reminds me that there is nothing to fear. Through God's strength, I forgave the idea of the world of pain and suffering. I remembered there is a real world that I could see instead. Paragraph 4. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. There is not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There is not a moment in which his voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I am walking steadily on toward the truth. There is nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to his Son. What is it that interrupted the ceaseless flow of thoughts from the ego mind? And where did the thought that I wanted to stop thinking them come from? It is a voice for God that called on my forgiveness to save me. This voice speaks to me all through the day. It guides me in every way, and it always moves me toward forgiveness. In so doing, it guides me toward my freedom and my happiness. It directs me to my true self. Paragraph 5, I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by his love. As I open my eyes, his love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, his love reminds me that his Son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision he has given me, I remember that I am his son. The reason I have nothing to fear is that I am sustained by the love of God. His love is in my mind where I am. As I more often look past the images the eyes show me, I discover what it is like to look through the love of God. Instead of seeing enemies, I see brothers. I see myself in them, and I see God's love in them. This vision is not explainable in terms the world understands. It's a miracle. It is not yet an unwavering choice for me, but the love of God is changing that. For my part is to forgive so that my mind is made ready for the miracle. I know how to do that. Thank you so much for sharing today's lesson with me. Thank you for watching my video. And if you found it helpful, then please like it and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.